Ramon Jesh has lived on Cimarron Way since 1966. His neighbor, Ron Craig, moved in 1 month later and got the last lot for sale in Keewaydin Meadows. He says the best lot.
Pretty magical, raising our children. He had 8, I had 3. Quiet neighborhood, a beautiful area in the back.
It's still beautiful, but Ron worries developing the Hogan-Pancost property will bring a lot more of this. Water gushing out of sump pumps.
The first 30 years I lived here, there was no water at all, and then they began construction of the soccer fields, and the water started shortly after that. So I think any kind of development back here is going to force the more water over in this area.
He's not the only one who thinks the development will disturb the water table.
What we do know is there will be negative impact. We don't have to have a study for that. We don't have to have modeling. We don't have conjecture. What we have is fact. We have facts that these homeowners have suffered in the water in their basements.
Deborah Flora, who's lived in the area for 21 years, says any studies done by the developer before are invalid now because soccer fields and parking lots have been built since then, adding man-made surfaces where grass used to be. Ron Craig now has 2 sump pumps. In peak times, he says they pump about 20,000 gallons of water a day, and Ramon Jesh, next door, says about 15,000 gallons pump out of his basement a day.
And I can't think of any one thing that's right about developing this property. There's nothing right about it. The traffic, the flooding, the groundwater, the environmental impacts.
Let's take traffic. Manhattan Middle School is along what would become a major traffic corridor for the new development. The school open enrolls more than half its student body, meaning they're likely driven to school. Imagine the congestion of adding cars from 120 plus new homes. The developer's plans also make Keewaydin Drive a through street, severely increasing traffic on a narrow road with just a dozen or so homes, and ignoring assurances from city staff to residents that Keewaydin would never connect to future development.
There was actually a gentleman's agreement that there was a letter written that they were not going to put Keewaydin on through. They ought to abide by that.
Ramon Jesh is also concerned about flooding. He and Ron Craig lived through the 1969 flood that turned this area into a fast-moving river.
And the backfield out there was running like a river. It really was.
Portions of the Hogan-Pancost property are in the 100-year floodplain. Some areas are designated high hazard, according to a city study. For years, portions were obviously wetlands. Currently, at least 2.4 acres are wetlands, according to the developer's last report. Although neighbors say the developer's non-permitted work on the land makes it harder to see.
They've lined the ditches, they've run bulldozers down and tore up a lot of the willows along the ditch corridors.
Traffic.
With a school there, it would be a terrible mess.
Flooding.
We're very concerned about the additional flooding that's going to occur.
Groundwater.
We have the facts that the water table is definitely affected by construction in this area.
Environmental impacts. Think about it.
We, the citizens of Boulder, are in it for the long haul. The developer isn't. Fundamentally, that's not their job. Their job is to come in and build, and then they walk away. But we have to live with the decisions that are being made out here.